In a climate of global persecution and suffering, the virtue of justice has become increasingly relevant. So what does Islam say about justice? You see, it starts with God and continues with humans. Here's what that means. For starters, it's important to understand the concept of his divine attributes. For Muslims, establishing a loving relationship with God is important, but in order to love him, one must know him. Islam emphasizes knowing who God is through descriptions of his divine qualities. In order to gain his love and live a more fruitful life, it's important to emulate some of those divine qualities. For example, God is described as being the most compassionate. We can emulate that quality by serving those in need, showing compassion, and advocating for the oppressed. In the same way, God is established in the Qur'an as the most just multiple times. Verily, God does not do an atom's weight of injustice. And God raised up the heavens and established justice. So in Islam, justice is rooted in God's divine nature. He established it and wove it into the very fabric of the universe. And to maintain that harmonious balance and emulate his justice, Muslims must be just in their relationship with God and all of creation. Being just with God means worshiping him alone and being grateful to him for all of his blessings. The spiritual dimension of justice is for the soul's own benefit, to thrive in a loving relationship with God, and consequently respect and uphold the rights of the Creator and his creation. Being just towards all of creation means upholding the natural rights of all living things with mercy and compassion, from your fellow human beings to animals to the environment. When it comes to justice regarding your fellow human beings, well, that's where it gets quite comprehensive. The Qur'an introduces something called qist. It refers to injustice in the sense of giving every member of society their fair share, and it includes every dimension of human interaction. First, the political dimension. Islam tasks people in power to govern fairly through mutual consultation and gravely admonishes any abuse of power. It sees the prosperity and well-being of a nation dependent on justice and the protection of the underprivileged and the vulnerable. In Abyssinia, when an elderly woman had been pushed, the Prophet, peace be upon him, stood up and said angrily, "How would God sanctify a nation that does not protect its weak from its strong? In other words, its underprivileged from its powerful." Second, the economic dimension. Any healthy society requires the fair distribution of goods to all its members, and Islam places incredible emphasis on the economic well-being of individuals, groups, and the larger community. Last but not least, the interpersonal dimension. Islam firmly commands justice, mercy, and excellent conduct in personal relationships with friends, families, neighbors, and the like. What's more, it's incumbent on Muslims to stand with all those who are oppressed and marginalized. In other words, Muslims are religiously obligated to do everything in their power to eradicate injustice on a community level and an individual one. The Quran and Sunnah specifically command justice for orphans, or the most vulnerable in society, the enslaved, or those who are exploited, subjugated, and abused, people with physical and mental disabilities, people marginalized because they belong to a different race or ethnicity, those of different faiths, and women subjugated to marginalization, oppression, or abuse. In a later video, we can gain a better understanding of these groups, but their significance in this faith makes one thing clear. Islam has a profound tradition of justice. Its advocacy for people spans every dimension. It's rooted in spirituality and sees humankind as custodians of this world, entrusted with the duty to always stand on the side of the oppressed and challenge any abuse of power.